And I'm also going to, in a few minutes, share screen. But first, I wanted to say some about your exam 5 for the reproductive system. These were pretty good as a group, and I can tell that you all studied for those a lot. If you have specific questions about what you missed, we can set up a Teams meeting for tomorrow or sometime after Thanksgiving, and I can go over the specifics with you. But the things that most people missed, I just realized I left them out in my car. But the things that most people missed had to do with the diagram labeling. So that first question where it had the description and then you label on the figure, several people missed questions from that. And then the other parts of the exam were mostly good. Some of the specific questions, like how is pregnancy defined, that had to be implantation. So pregnancy is defined as an embryo implant. That was one that was missed some. The timelines were pretty good. The matching was pretty good. And then there were a few other maybe multiple choice here and there. There was one multiple choice that got thrown out, which was the one about hormone levels shifting in pregnancy. A lot of people missed that. But again, if you have questions about what you missed or other questions about that exam, just let me know, and I can set up a Teams meeting to go over it with you. Okay, so what I want to do next is share my screen and talk about the final exam. And anytime if you have a question, just unmute and go ahead and ask it. That'll be the best way. So I've got pulled up here our Canvas page for our class. And under course resources module, there's a new file in there which says take home final rules. And I'm going to use this to kind of go through what to expect on the final. And you might want to open this up and take some notes, or maybe just take some notes on a blank paper. But the official rules are in this document called Take Home Final Rules. Make this bigger. So these exams that are your final, it's 100 points. It's the same as any other lecture exam, but it's quite different in style. So these are cumulative and they are take home, and you'll have 2 weeks to work on these. Just let somebody in there. So these take-home finals are going to open up on Friday morning at 8 a.m. Once they are open on Canvas, you are supposed to be able to go in and out and look at the questions and work on it for 2 weeks. They will be due in Canvas on Friday the 11th at 8 a.m. If you get finished before then, I don't grade these exams until Friday, December 11th, because I will grade, I like to grade them together so I stay consistent in grading. There are 3 different versions of this exam, and they're based on 3 different genetic diseases, or 3 different diseases that affect multiple organ systems, and they have some kind of genetic component to them. Your tests this semester do not have genetics questions about the diseases, but all of the diseases have a genetic basis. So there are 3 versions. There's one version about, well, I'm not going to tell you what the diseases are. That'll be a surprise. But there are 3 versions, and I assign you all to specific versions. So if you've got friends in the class that are on your same sports team, they're on a different version of the exam as you. And if there are people that I know that you tend to study with, they've got a different exam version as you. So that reduces the temptation to work together on exams. In the past, students who have done a good job on these have found that they take about 8 to 10 hours to do the whole exam. And that may sound like a lot, but remember that this kind of final, you don't really study for it. You don't spend time studying for the final because it's open book and open note and open resource. You just spend time doing the final. So that brings to number 2 here. You can use any notes from the class, your book, the library, the internet, any information that you can find in the whole world except working together with other people or asking other people to help you with the exam questions. That's really the only thing that's off limits. I have had in the past students work together or students share answers, and when I find that, I always take it to Honor Council. And so far, I am 3 for 3 in Honor Council with people getting zeros if they work together. So do not work together. Do not really discuss these with each other because the penalty for that is getting a 0 on the exam. And in the past, that has led to people getting not as good grades in this class as they should have because they work together on this. You're going to be typing in your answers for these questions into Canvas, and I would like for you to use sentences, and I would like for you to write generally well. If you've got a typo here or there, that's not a big deal. If you spell something wrong once or twice, that's not a big deal. But if your answers aren't in sentences the whole way through, I would deduct points for that. So type in sentences, use good spelling and grammar, but I'm not going to be picky about small errors here or there. That Friday, the 11th deadline is a hard deadline, and if you turn it in late, it's 10 points off for each half hour that it's late. So you've got plenty of time, 2 weeks to do these. Make sure you get them in by the deadline. When you see these exams, there are certain questions on there that I have marked as a research question. If you see that the research is marked as a research question, that's something that you are going to have to look up online or in the book or find some statistics about the disease. But if the question is not marked as a research question, it's going to be based on stuff that we learned this semester. So you will need to have your notes with you when you do these exams. Don't throw away your notes. Don't throw away slides if you kept slides and took notes on them, because you're going to need that stuff to answer the questions. You don't have to write a lot about the question for it to be a good answer either. So I'd say, you know, most questions can be answered in 1 or 2 good sentences. That doesn't mean that you can do it quickly, but you don't have to write long answers to have good answers. One thing about these exams, I'm gonna go back to my picture. One thing about these exams is that I have written these custom for this class. So these are a lot of these questions. If you go and Google it, which happens, I have students do that in the past. You can go and Google the question, and the answers that come up are not necessarily the answers that I'm looking for, because I am asking you, how does this disease affect this particular body system and what we learned about it in class? So if the question is not a research question and it's just something that you're supposed to look through your class notes, Googling the question is usually not going to give you the right answer. So when you read the questions and it's asking you something about how is kidney function affected, you want to use our notes from class and use the language that I used in class and the processes that we talked about to develop those answers. Just Googling this stuff is not usually the best way to do to do this exam. So let's go back and look at the guidelines here. You are free to use any web resources that you find, or books, or notes, or any resources that you want, but don't copy their wording. So I have graded a lot of stuff from you guys to this point, and I kind of know how your writing sounds. And if you've copied the wording from a website or something, that's probably going to stick out to me. And then I can go and, you know, phrase too. And if it comes out an exact match, and you're just copying someone else, that you would not get any credit for that. So write in your own words. Anytime when you're working on these exams, you are able to ask me questions about it. And before, you know, you ask anybody else questions, ask me questions first. So if you're not sure what I'm asking, or what general direction to head in, just send me an email. And I'll be checking email pretty frequently after the exam opens, especially during weekdays. So send me a question. If you're not sure what the question means in the first place, let me know. And number 8, this is a big deal. I've worked really hard to write these exams and to make them about the same difficulty in their custom questions. And these exams are a way for you guys to show me what you've learned in a different way than just doing a regular test. So I think that this style of exam is really helpful to students, to show what you can do if you've got a lot of time and if you've got a lot of resources, and you can work as hard as you want on it. But these exams are my property, and you cannot in the future share this stuff with future students. So one of the big cheating incidents I had in the past was somehow someone got a hold of, through like this indirect path, of a former student's exam that they had done really well on, and then that student passed their whole class notebook like on to somebody else, and the exam was in there. The student that got the notebook didn't even have the same exam version as the student who gave them the notebook, but they passed that student's old exam on to another student that did have their same version. If that happens, the person that the exam originally came from, so this did happen, the person who the exam originally came from also got an academic sanction and a note in their student conduct file that they unknowingly passed sensitive class materials on to somebody else. So these exams cannot be shared this semester. They cannot be shared in future semesters either, because you want every student that's been through A&P2 with me to have an equal playing field with you. Like, I care very much that what a B is in this class this year is the same as what B level work is 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. So don't pass stuff on, don't pass these exams on to future students either. Say like, you do a great job on your particular disease. Don't let somebody else use your work. Keep it your work. That makes things fair, and that lets me keep using this good exam system that generally is going to help your grade if you work hard on these. So in the past, students who have been on a good trajectory in this class, if you're like close to the next letter grade, usually doing well on this exam is going to boost your grade up. And most students, once they've got all of their other grades in, hardly any students do worse on this exam than they have on other exams, because you can put as much work into it as you want over the 2 weeks. And then finally, this little encouraging note here. So what this exam is like what you actually do in your job. So when you go to do your career in your job, you're hardly ever going to have tests where you have to remember every single thing and have stuff memorized. Most of the time in your job, you are going to be able to use whatever resources and work as hard as you want to in your job to get a good outcome. And that's what this test is like. This is very real world and relevant to your career. So I hope that you learn a lot from these exams, and I hope that you find it more enjoyable than a normal exam in AMP2. And I really like these as a way to kind of end your time in both anatomy and physiologies, and learn more about a specific disease and have a good chance to improve your grade. Trying to think what questions students have had in the past about this. And you all be thinking of questions that you have too, to ask me. So questions students have had in the past. Can they go back? Can they type some stuff into the questions in Canvas and save it and then go back? And yeah, it's not a one shot thing. So when you open up your version of the exam, you ought to be able to save your answers and work on it a little bit at a time. So let me also show you where these are going to appear. Hang on just a second here. Share screen again. Okay, so these are going to show up for you guys starting on Friday morning, and the exams are going to show up right here under the final rules. And for each one of you, there's only going to be one exam that shows up. So it will say take home final and then the name of the disease. And that's where yours will show up. It will be right under here. And it's all the questions are set up as essay questions so that you can type in your answer in sentences. Okay, what questions do you guys have so far? I don't know what just happened, why I suddenly left the meeting, but thanks for staying on. What questions do you guys have so far?
Can we ask for like clarification if we get stuck on a question?
Absolutely. So for example, there's most of these diseases, one of the early questions is how many people get this? How many people get this disease and what's the general cause of it as a research question? So like if you weren't sure, am I asking about people in the US and the whole world or whatever, that kind of clarification, like definitely ask me, definitely. So if you excuse me, if you read the question and you think, I don't even know what she means, just email me and ask me and I'll explain it in a different way. But definitely you can ask for clarification.
Do we need to cite any of our information?
Yeah. So maybe this is tacky of me, but I do not make you cite your information. And the reason that I don't ask you to cite where you got the information is because honestly, I'm not going to look through that. Number one, a lot of you would be citing class notes all the time is the best resource for most of this info. And then honestly, like when I go through and I read the answers, if you like say that you go to some strange website about so like natural cures for cystic fibrosis or something like that, and the question is something like what are the major treatments for cystic fibrosis, and you found a website that says natural cures for cystic fibrosis, and they say something like if you eat an alkaline diet, that's going to cure all your problems. So it won't. And cystic fibrosis is not one of the exam topics actually, but when I read through your answers, like I'm going to know just based on the answer if you got it from a stupid place or not. So you don't have to cite where you got things from, but if you are going to use websites, make sure that they're a quality website and not just like some weird interest group or people promoting quack medicine to cure this disease. Like some good websites to use is if there's a national organization to fight that disease, that's going to be a good website, or Mayo Clinic or Center for Disease Control, places like that. So you're welcome to use websites. You should use quality websites, but I'm not going to make you cite your sources. It's just like, do you have the correct info or do you not have the correct info? Good question. Students always ask that, and I forget to put it in the guidelines. Other questions that you have so far? There's 3 different versions of the exam, and you guys are basically split into 3 equal groups, but you're not going to have the same one as your teammate or your best friend in the class. So that's to help keep you guys honest.
I have a question not related to the final.
Mm-hmm.
So can I talk to you after?
Yeah, there's a few of you that have a variety of questions that you've emailed me about or things that we need to talk about. So if you want to stay on for a minute and work those things out with me while we're on teams together, that's good too. But let me also say I've really enjoyed teaching you all this semester. It's been a weird semester, but I'm so glad that we got to be together. And if in the future, if you need a letter of recommendation or if there's anything I can help you with during the rest of your time at King or for your careers, just let me know. And you all have been working really hard, and don't forget to study for your lab exam. That's going to be key for a lot of you for your grades. But oh wait, one more thing. If after tomorrow, when you do your lab exam, if you are not mathematically able to pass the class, I don't assign you a final because that would be a waste of everybody's time. So I don't know if any of you all are actually in that situation, but if you're not going to be able to mathematically pass, you won't get assigned a final. And if that did happen, I would let you know. So, but generally, if you all do well on your lab exam and you do well on this final, you can expect that your average will go up from where it is now. So thank you all so much. And if you have a particular question for me, you can stay on. But remember, any questions that you have about these finals, just email me and let me know. Especially like not the day before they're due. Make sure you look at them pretty soon after they open on Friday, just so that you know what you'll be needing to work on. So thank you all so much. And if you've got other questions for me, just stay on and we can discuss those. Thank you. Good luck and safe travels.
Hi, Professor Ong. I remember we talked about staying on to go over my exam. Did you want to do that now or?
Yes. If you, let's see, how about rejoin in like 5 minutes? Because that will take, I think these other students that have questions, it won't probably take that long. So
No,
just rejoin this Teams meeting in about 5 minutes.
All right,
and then
perfect.
If we're not done, I'll just tell you to rejoin again.
Rejoin again.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Here, I'll do it in like 10 minutes. Is that good?
Yes. Yeah, like 10, 15.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
That'd be good. Okay, bye.
Bye.
I had the same question if I can go over my exam.
Oh, you were gonna go over I thought we did go over your exam.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a good grade on my last exam. I just wanted to look at it.
Oh, you mean the one that we just took?
Yeah.
The reproductive system.
Yeah.
Those are out in my car. I forgot to bring them in. So, how about could you rejoin at 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. And we can go over that. Yeah, I'll see you at 11.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Hey, Ashley, did you have a question? I guess I don't have to record this part.